Do you have an end goal for the people that come to your church? If somebody were to walk into the front doors of your church, do you have an end result that you want for them? I would encourage you to think about this. What is the end result? And then how do you create a path to help people get there? Basically, how do people win at your church? What does that look like? Winning is very motivational. Winning is something that we all enjoy. We like to watch it, we like to be a part of it. And if we know how to win in your church, when people know how to win, that's when you have this culture that has just a tremendous momentum where people are eager to be a part of what's going on in the church. Football is a great sport. I love to watch football. And one of the things about football that I love is seeing everybody working towards the same goal. If you think about it, there's different jobs. There's receivers and linemen and tight ends and running backs and quarterbacks. But when that ball is snapped, everybody's trying to go towards the goal in the same direction. They all have their individual jobs, but they're moving in the same direction. And the thing about football as well is that you're able to call the right plays at the right time. So you're not always trying to go for the end zone. If you're way back in the other side of the field, you're probably just going to try to get a few yards. Really, just 10 yards keeps it moving for your team. 10 yards is all you need. And eventually, that means you're going to score and ultimately you're going to win. So when you have clarity about where you're going and what you're trying to accomplish, then you can have a win more often. So as a church, as an organization, if you know how to win, then you're going to allow people to run with passion, to run with their calling, so that they take aim first and then take action. Statistically, many organizations are in the same boat. Only 2 out of every 10 people know how to win in their organization, whether that's a church or a business. Only 2 out of 10. If you put this on a football field, only 2 out of the 11 players that are on the field would know what direction to go and where the end zone is. Wouldn't that be crazy to watch a football game where only 2 people on the field know which way to go with the ball? Well, it's the same thing in church world. We need to make sure that people know how to win as a church. What is it that happens that unifies everyone behind the vision? There's a church that they do baptisms, and when they do baptism, they tell a short video story in their service, and people just get excited about this. They clap, they stand up, they cheer. There's tears that are happening. A bunch of things are going on, and everybody feels the win because if there was an usher there that was a part of that story, they feel the win. If you were serving in the nursery and watching babies, you feel the win. If you were greeting at the door, you feel the win. There's just something that they do when they have baptisms that where everybody feels the win. This is why we're here. This is why we do what we do. And that's what you want to set with your church is how do we win as a church? The thing about wins is that it should be measurable. So right here, I have a journey. What is an individual's journey in a church? This is just an example of what it might look like for your church. But what is it that you have that turns people from a mentality which is all about themselves into becoming a disciple of Jesus Christ, and then ultimately becoming a multiplier and helping others now know who Jesus is? What does that path look like? What do you have in place at your church? And I would recommend just take a look at the ministries you have in place, take a look at your church, and then begin to put these things in place. It's probably already there. You don't have to recreate it. Just put some structure and some order to it. That way you can say, here's your next step. And that's such a powerful tool to use as a church. That's such a powerful tool that a brand can have to move people along and to give them a next step that gets them closer to being part of the core essence of what the church is trying to create. So what does that look like? In this example, we have salvation, we have family, which is the next step. We have freedom, there's growth, and then mission is kind of the ultimate where you're now serving other people. And it's all fueled by that thing in the middle called go, loving God and loving others. Your church might have a different thing that fuels it. It might be worship. It might be prayer. It might be salvations, baptisms. It could be a lot of different things for different churches, but can you define that? Can you create this path? It's so important that we know what it is to win and how to move people along and help them understand that they're winning. Or even as a team member on a serve team, you can help people to get to their next step so that they can win. And that gives you a sense of accomplishment. So winning, it should be measurable. You should be able to measure how many people accomplished this step. You know, a lot of times in church world, we struggle with numbers, but really every number represents a story. You know, I'm a number. I'm so glad that there's a church that reached out to me and I became a number in that church. And man, my story is a unique and amazing because of what God did. And every number has a story. So can you measure salvation? Can you measure family? Can you create a way to say, this is how we track family in our church? In this example, it's this thing called Life Discovery, which is a 4-week class. It's life groups and it's serve teams. Can you measure freedom in your church? I know that's such an abstract idea, but is there a way that for you to measure how many people are experiencing freedom in your church? Maybe that's a class, an event that takes place. I don't know. But can you find a way to measure that? Because here's the bottom line. What you measure, you manage. And what you manage, you're going to get more of. So if you want to grow the church, if you want to help people grow in their relationship with Jesus Christ, then you have to be able to measure it. You have to put a scoreboard to it so that people know when they're winning. Just think about it. When you're watching any sport, whatever your favorite sport is, you're going to watch the scoreboard and you're going to get excited when your team is winning. And that creates momentum and passion. And that's what needs to happen in our churches, in your church, where we have a scoreboard, a way to measure things so that people can be passionate about being a part of your church and being a part of the brand that you've created by knowing what the score is. How are we doing and how are we winning as a church in the community? So get clear about who you are, get clear about the people that you're trying to reach, and then design a path, a journey that you can take people down so that they ultimately become what God is calling you to create in your community, and then measure it. And when you do that, you're going to see great things happen in your church. You're going to see growth take place, and people are going to be extremely passionate to be a part of what God's doing in your church.